Here we are in 2021 and still no justice.
A fight for justice. This woman says police officers killed her sister, but the department hasn't acknowledged its role in what happened. Now a group called Cop Watch is helping her family and others hold officers accountable. Alexa Liaco walked with the group as it met with some of the most vulnerable members of the community.
If you ask Maria more about her sister, you'll see a smile only family can bring out.
If people had met Kayla, would have loved her.
They grew up as best friends, and even though it drove her crazy, Maria always let Kayla borrow her clothes, anything she wanted.
She wanted to wear the clothes that made her feel good.
She knew it helped her sister, who was transgender and identified as female.
The other kids would taunt her relentlessly.
Kayla's struggle didn't end when she left the bullies in school. She was then diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Maria and her family called the police several times for help.
Each occasion, Kayla walked into the ambulance on her own.
Until one night in 2013, as this lawsuit shows, Kayla's roommate called police for a welfare check. Maria says the police told Kayla they had a warrant for her arrest.
And Kayla was scared. She was like, no, that's not true. I'm going to go and make a phone call. The minute she turned to make that phone call, that's when the officers grabbed her and piled on top of her.
Multiple officers held Kayla down for several minutes.
Just like George Floyd, her last words were, "Get off me, I can't breathe." And the officer looked at her while she's laying there, dead, exposed, and said, well, what is it? Is it a he or a she?
8 years later, Maria says she has no closure. A judge dismissed the family's wrongful death lawsuit, and the Police Review Commission cleared all officers of wrongdoing. But there's one thing giving Maria hope: Berkeley Cop Watch.
Mental health meeting on Thursday.
Maria is working with Cop Watch's founder, Andrea Pritchett, to hold police in their neighborhood accountable.
We decided to begin witnessing and just to stand in solidarity with people as they were having interactions with the police.
On the ambulance, I'm having an anxiety attack.
For 31 years, Andrea and her team have listened to police scanners. They then drive to the scene with the goal of taking pictures and videos of tense situations.
We don't have some chip on our shoulders about the police, or it's not about that. It's about just a deep love of our community and trying to get the things for our community that we need.
Once video is collected, Mariah Yates compiles the information of each police encounter.
You have a First Amendment right to film the police in all 50 states. And it's important to do so. Exercise your rights, or what's the point of having them?
All this video can help hold police accountable, but Berkeley professor Nikki Jones says people have to understand that there is sometimes more than is on video.
And any story is a compilation, right, of different pieces of evidence from different perspectives. The lens is going to be trained on what's meaningful and important to the person behind the lens.
That just because you have video is no guarantee of justice. However, if we as a local organization can gather that information and make it available to the people in our community so that they can make bigger decisions about what kind of policing do we want in our community.
For Cop Watch, that means separating mental health care from policing.
We need officers, but we don't need officers for mental health calls, ever.
For, if not just for Kayla, for everyone that has come and gone through the system since her death.
And beyond that, they want their data to improve the relationships between officers and the community.
It's been a long time coming, but it makes me feel hopeful.
The hope for change is alive amongst the community in Berkeley and just a few miles away, amongst a very different group in San Francisco. When you pass a police officer on the street, what do you see?
The uniform has a history. There have been a lot of awful things that this uniform has represented.
Officer Shante Williams joined the force to write a new chapter in that history. He came from humble beginnings.
I'm from a project myself. And
learned what community distrust looked like at an early age. But Williams saw beyond perception. He saw the chance to help.
It hurts when you're in a community that you love, that you want to service, and just because you're doing your job, oh, you're a sellout. Oh, you're an Uncle Tom. Oh, you're just one of them. You're just doing this for your boys. No, I'm doing this for the community. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for you.
Even after years facing negativity and distrust, Williams was not prepared for what was to come.
I saw the uniform and I was disgusted. and I saw another human being kill another human being, and I was disgusted.
George Floyd's death left this officer wondering, where was his place in this moment and in this nation?
Because I got conversations, I got phone calls. Are you black or are you blue? Why can't I be proud of both? Why can't I be proud to be a black man, and why can't I be proud to be a black police officer? And why can't I be ashamed of also being a police officer because one of my own committed a heinous act?
For officers of color across the country, the movement for social justice forced an identity crisis in the midst of the community crisis.
It made my job difficult, but I signed up for difficult.
So this year, Officer Williams took on a new challenge, leadership in the San Francisco Police Officers Association. He's breaking barriers alongside the new Vice President, Lieutenant Tracy McCray.
The first female, the first black female, the first lesbian female ever to hold this position in this organization.
Together, they believe they are paving the way for a new kind of officer.
I think we have policies like 25 years old, and we can't have that, right? You need to be updating and making sure that you're on the forefront of change and probably directing and driving that change.
San Francisco PD saw many cops unwilling to accept the change. Record numbers of officers resigned last year. But the officers still standing are glad those who resisted are gone.
What this year has done as far as the growth of the department is we're all looking for that one person to get them out of our profession because we hold this near and dear to our heart.
The culture shift isn't the only change. The police department is moving funding from policing to community initiatives, and these cops welcome it.
I think officers need to stop being afraid of the word defunding. I think police need to stop being so sensitive thinking that we're going to lose our jobs. There's a lot of work to be done in every single community, and we don't have to do it all. It can be shared.
Their work is more important than ever as the trial for George Floyd's killing begins.
We're all are held hostage by this one act. We're all condemned, because sometimes you put on the uniform, they see the uniform, they don't see the person wearing it.
But these two aren't giving up. They're just getting started.
How do we build trust? You got to get out and you got to meet people. You got to break those stereotypes, and you got to be willing to say, I'm sorry.
They have hope that in time, the small changes they make today will soon be seen as the first steps in a new era of policing.
We know we can't change today sometimes, but we're shooting for tomorrow.
For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacco.
The Race continues next.